Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of philosophy, and we have started discussing about the remedy reaction in last lecture, last two lectures, in fact. Yesterday, we have finished first five remedy reactions. That is the prognosis after giving remedy. What are the different possibilities? The first possibility, which was mentioned over here, is the prolonged aggravation followed by a final decline of the patient. This happens generally in pathological cases where you have selected wrong potency, you have selected very high potency, and because of which much energy which has been utilized stimulates the pathology and patient dies because of prolonged aggravation. So that is the first type of remedy reaction which happens over there. So one must be cautious when he deals with the pathological processes. Number two is there is long time aggravation followed by an slow improvement of the patient. This is a pathology which is not that much advanced as in first case, but here also your potency selection was a little bit wrong, and because of which there is a first aggravation, and after aggravation it is followed by gradually towards the amelioration. The third remedy reaction which he has mentioned over there is the homeopathic aggravation which we used to find it out off and on in our practice, generally in acute cases when our remedy selected is very perfect. It used to produce original symptoms used to get aggravated because of it, and it is a temporary and it is needed or expected homeopathic aggravation in acute cases in first few hours. In chronic, it never happens immediately. It takes a long time to appear, and when patient has to get cured, at that time this aggravation happens to be there in chronic cases. The fourth aggravation which we have discussed, no aggravation at all. That is fourth remedy reaction. So no aggravation at all. It is because whatever the remedy which you have chosen is very correct, and at the same time the potency selected is very correct. And because of which there is not at all an aggravation, and patient gets cured with the remedy without producing any aggravation over there. The fifth reaction which we have discussed yesterday is there is short time amelioration and followed by an continued aggravation. And this happens many times if the pathology is advanced and you have selected very superficially acting remedy generally in such types of cases, or if you would have selected a partial simillimum in such types of cases, patient is temporarily palliated with the action of the acute remedy, and then later on when action disappears, then patient's pathology gets advanced and it goes on increasing and aggravation happens to be there. So whenever you are selecting the remedy for the patient, it is necessary to take into consideration what type of disease you are treating and whether your remedy have that much of depth to tackle that condition, that you have to take into consideration. So these are five remedy reactions which we have discussed in yesterday's lecture. Let us go ahead on page number 129, the second paragraph, what he says over there. The higher potencies will set in motion in vital force curative functions which will act a long time, because oftentimes in these chronic conditions it takes a long time to establish order and vital energy takes its own time to cure. During this process, no medicine should be given. So what he has mentioned over there, higher potencies will set in motion in the vital force curative functions which will act a long time, because oftentimes in chronic condition it takes a long time to establish order. It is not possible to get an order immediately after giving remedy every time, specifically when you are dealing with the chronics. Acutes, it is simple. Acutes, whenever you prescribe remedy, it works and you expect the cure immediately. But this never happens with chronic. Chronic, already patient comes to you, patient is having 10 years rheumatism, patient is having 10 years asthma, patient is having 2 years cancer pathology. Such types of cases, when you deal, at that time you never expect that remedy will going to produce an order immediately. It takes its own time. And that's why here you should be cautious enough and you should be very, very you should have very keen observation regarding taking the follow-ups in such types of cases. So this is what he is explaining, and then he turns to explain the next remedy reaction which he mentioned over there in next paragraph. In cases that are preceding to a perfect cure, If improvement continues for some time and then suddenly comes to a halt, finding out if the patient has been doing something that is against the rules of health or has interfered with the continuation of the curative action of the remedy. This will often be found in the cause of the too short a period of relief from the symptom. And that is what is called as sixth observation. You prescribe very perfect remedy. Patient feels better for some time and all of a sudden he starts getting again the original complaints. So you doesn't understand why this is happening. You don't know what patient is consuming. Patient comes to you and complains, doctor, you would have given me very good remedy. I feel better for 5 days, and again my complaints have started. Then you have to ask whether have you consumed any coffee, whether the patient is smoker, whether the patient is tobacco chewer, whether he is using anything very strong smelling which affects the action of the medicine. Because because of these obstacles, many times your action of your remedy gets hampered. It gets disturbed. And once it gets disturbed, the original complaints reappears over there. So this is one more observation we used to get very commonly. I have selected a very good remedy, ars iodide, to the patient for chronic rhinitis and chronic cough, chronic bronchitis. And patient was typical of ars iodide with glandular enlargements and watery coryza, which is aggravated by slightest cold and all those things. And patient was typical of arsenic. I had given him ars iodide and he was better for a week. And he started getting that running nose, sneezing again. He came back again. And he told me, doctor, after that medicine, whatever you have given, I was very happy and I was getting good result. But it has started again. So I was asking him whether you do smoking, whether you take tobacco, whether you have consumed the coffee and all those things I have asked. But nothing was there. Then when I was examining him, I got a typical scent of that naphthalene balls. So I asked him whether you use the naphthalene balls in your cupboard. And then he said, yes, doctor, I used to. In fact, I used to keep it everywhere. And that was the obstacle in the process. So these are the things which one must not forget, that the certain things which when obstruct the action of remedy, there will be a too short relief of the symptoms. So this is one more remedy reaction which he has mentioned over there, too short relief of the symptoms, that is sixth remedy reaction. In the third observation, you will remember there was a quick aggravation followed by a long amelioration. Note the difference here. You have just considered the amelioration and that was of short duration. In instances where you have an aggravation immediately after administration of upper remedy and then a quick rebound, you never see too short amelioration of the remedy. If there is quick rebound, the amelioration should last. If it does not last, it is because of some condition that interferes with the action of remedy. It may be something that the patient is doing entirely unconsciously, and it may be something that he is doing deliberately or intentionally. So this might happen because of two things. Either patient is doing it purposefully or because patient is not doing it purposefully. It might be happen because of unconsciously. So this condition, he has kept the naphthalene balls in his cupboard. The concept was that the clothes never get a bad smell, and that's why many people keep that in their cupboards. This happens many times, but that may be one of the obstacle in the process of recovery. Many times it happens that patients who are having chronic allergic rhinitis, they suffer because they are using that mosquito repellents over there, and that is one important thing because of which they get such types of things. So you must know it whenever you are thinking about it. When you must ask it what are things which are obstacles in the process. A quick rebound means everything to the case. It means that remedy is well chosen, that it covers the condition of the vital economy, and if everything goes without interference, it will bring ultimate recovery. So this is what he is explaining. Here he is explaining that recovery happens to be there ultimately, and it works. So this is the process. This is with this, the patient will going to recover completely. It is only because of some obstacles in the process of recovery, because of which patient is not getting cured. And you must be watchful regarding those things. So when you deal specifically allergy condition, always keep a watch that what patient is using. Then he says there is this to remember. Some remedies have an aggravation immediately after administration, and some have sharp aggravation some little time after administration. For instance, phosphorus may have a sharp aggravation, but it rarely occurs under 24 hours after administration. It may be 48 hours or longer, and it may last for some little time. Every remedy has a different action. Some remedies works very fast, produces their action immediately. Some remedies takes long time to act. It depends upon the pace of the remedy. That pace you have to understand depending upon the action of the remedy. You have to look for remedies. You have to understand remedies. You have to understand the pace of the remedies, the depth of the remedies. And this you get when you read them again and again. And you not only read, but you understand them in a better manner. So when you are reading Aconite, you will find that their pace is too fast. And once you give the Aconite, you will recovery is also fast, aggravation is also fast. So you can find it out that pace. Calcarea, very slow. There is slowness in every movement, slowness in action, everything. Barata is most slow. And these are the things one must understand. One must know. And that's that on the basis of which you can think about the prognosis of the case. If amelioration is too short in chronic cases, it means structural changes are taking place and have destroyed or threatened to destroy the proper functions of the patient. It takes close observation to discern these changes from the reaction of the remedy. However, one may acquire much help from careful observation of these indications in detecting the course and progress of the case. So, sometimes it happens that amelioration lasts too short because your remedy, which is not that having that much of depth to cover that pathology, or remedy is working superficially, the original pathology is increasing, and because of that, patient might have got some relief followed by an again a presence of the same symptom. So there are many possibilities behind this remedy reaction, but most common possibility which happens to be there is the obstacles in the process of recovery. So one must be cautious, one must be observable to understand what is happening with the patient. And then he turns toward the seventh remedy reaction. Once in a great while, you will find a full period amelioration of the symptoms, yet no special relief of the patient. See, this is the seventh observation. You will find a full period amelioration followed by yet no special relief to the patient. So your remedy has removed the symptoms, but patient says, I'm not feeling better, doctor. He doesn't get that strength. He doesn't have that capacity. His vital energy is not getting up. This you will encounter in cases where you have structural changes, where the patient will improve on the remedy for some time and then improvement will cease. They can improve only to a certain point and then improvement can go no further. We meet these conditions where organs like liver or kidneys are partially involved and can function only in part. The remedy may keep the patient comfortable. However, by careful repetition of the remedy at infrequent intervals, patient may be kept comfortable for considerable period of time, even though you will not be justified in expecting a cure. So, in such types of cases, when structural damage is already there, and you have given a remedy is perfect, but remedy doesn't have capacity to recover that structural damage, and patient is feeling better with the help of that remedy, but patient is not completely recovering. This happens many times in cases, for example, a tuberculosis. Patient had tuberculosis and patient was cured with anti-tubercular treatment, and he was having it bilaterally on right side. The upper and middle lobe was affected. On left side, left upper lobe was affected, and he has taken full treatment for it, anti-tuberculous, and then he recovered, but he was not getting the result because he was getting breathless off and on. Patient comes to you, you have selected very right simillimum. Patient's breathlessness is better with the help of homeopathy. But even though whenever he used to exercise or whenever he used to do exertion, he used to suffer. Why he is suffering? Because already the some part of the right lung and some part of the left lung which is fibrosed, it will not going to open. That fibrous part will not going to work for the patient. So remaining part whenever is there with which he is making his oxygenation, and he remains comfortable. But whenever exertion happens, when requirement is more and area of lung is very less, breathlessness is bound to happen. So your remedy will not going to cure that patient forever. Here, your remedy will make him comfortable, keep him comfortable. And that is the thing which he has mentioned over there. There is full-time amelioration of the symptoms, but it no special relief to the patient. Here, the patient will not going to get completely cured. And this will not happen even with homeopathic remedies, because fibrosis once happened will not going to get resolved, and there will be no more proper lung tissue where oxygenation will going to happen. So one must know the pathology. When we treat the disorders, we must know pathology, how it will going to, what will going to happen in the patient and what patient has. If we know the disease properly, we can expect the things in a proper manner, and you can explain it to the patient in proper manner. This is necessary, and that's why to every my student I used to tell that you must read the pathology clearly, you must understand the medicine properly. If you know it properly, then you will know exactly what will going to happen after giving a remedy, and what is cure and what may be cure in this patient. So expectation or prognosis always depends upon understanding the disease processes, and this one must know. So this is what we were discussing. We'll turn towards the next remedy reaction, that is the on page number 131. There is another reaction that we find in some patients, and that is purely hysterical. They seems to prove that any remedy you may give them and get an aggravation from it. Underline this. This is AIDS. They prove every remedy you have given. This is next, that is eighth observation. This may be because of an idiosyncrasy for the remedy, or because of too sensitive reactions of the vital energy. What is an idiosyncrasy? We'll take into consideration that aspect also while dealing with this remedy reaction. So, idiosyncrasy are nothing but the peculiar corporeal constitutions which reacts to a normal atom, to which rest of the persons reacts in a normal manner, but they react exaggerately to that normal atom, specifically of the food or of any regular use. And these types of persons are the persons they used to prove every remedy. They are hypersensitive, And this hypersensitivity, because of this hypersensitivity, whatever remedy you give, they starts producing their features. So this is quite common with, say, idiosyncratic personalities. And you can find it out, idiosyncratic personalities, with history taking. There are some patients who talks like that. Doctor Mala, I don't tolerate eggs. Whenever I used to take eggs, I used to get very severe violent reaction. I cannot take groundnuts or nuts. I get irritation in the throat. Patient tells you that they cannot mm, take the mouth fresheners. Immediately they react. And these are individualistic reactions. Idiosyncrasy is generally inherited. It is not acquired. And this is idiosyncrasy always happens to be there only with one ingredient. It is not for multiple things. But idiosyncratic persons always react in an exaggerated manner to many things. And that's why whenever they take the remedy, they start producing their symptoms. And this is quite common. But for homeopathic point of view, when proving you have to do a homeopathic drug proving, these are the best personalities with whom you can get a detailed drug proving or maximum symptomatology. And that's why best prover in homeopathy is always an idiosyncratic individual. It may be almost impossible to do anything with them in a curative way, but it may be of inestimable help in proving the remedy. So this is what I have told. These patients, as a patient, if patient comes who is idiosyncratic and you have used the remedy, it might produce a problem, or they starts producing a result over there or reaction over there. But if you would have given remedy for proving for them, they have very importance of it, and it will be very, very useful for them. Just take कोण बघतो विचारून 10 मिनिटं. Before a remedy is used, the constitutional condition of the patient should be carefully noted. Write down the peculiarities of the patient in as much detail as possible, and these observations should be deducted from the proving. So, you must, whenever you are doing the proving with idiosyncratic persons, you must know the thorough understanding of that fellow, that person. And those should be written first prior doing the drug proving, so that you must find it out whether they are previous or after the medicine. And these are things one must not forget. So what he has mentioned over there, he has mentioned the 8th remedy reaction. That is, these are the patients, they prove every remedy they get. And specifically, it happens with idiosyncratic persons, or it may happen in hysterical personality. But most commonly, it is with idiosyncratic. Hysterical, very occasionally, you get such types of features. So I think we have finished 3 more remedy reactions in today's session. We have started with the 6th one, to short relief of the symptoms. 7th one, that is the full-time amelioration of the symptoms at no special relief to the patient. And last one, which we have discussed, is these are the provers, these are the patients which used to prove every remedy they get. So we have finished up to 8. Tomorrow we will finish all and we'll complete this chapter of remedy reaction. So that's all for today. Today evening, we're going to learn one more very common remedy in homeopathic practice, that is the podophyllum at 8:15. So thank you being there.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. सर क्रॉनिक केस मध्ये जर मेडिसिन दिल्याच्या 5-6 दिवसानंतर ओल्ड सिम्पटम्स रिअपिअर झाले, म्हणजे खूप माइल्ड फॉर्म मध्ये अलर्जिक रिएक्शन जर असेल, खूप आधी अलर्जी असेल आणि आता हलकी इचिंग होत असेल गरम झालं तर मग हे पॉझिटिव्ह साईन आहे, म्हणजे असं काय रेमेडी रिएक्शनच्या अकॉर्डिंग प्रॉपर वे आहे की रेमेडी प्रॉपर आहे की कसं काय म्हणजे डिसाईड करू शकतो?
हे आता आपल्याला उरलेल्या रेमेडी रिएक्शन मध्ये तेच शिकायचं आहे उद्या.
ओके
दॅट
ओके
यू
ओके,
विल
थँक्यू
गोइंग
सर,
टू
थँक्यू
लर्न
सर.
इट टुमॉरो.
ओके. आणि अजून एक आहे सर, आता नावडेज हे कॉमन आहे, डिओड्रंट आणि परफ्यूम वगैरे यूज करतातच लोक. आणि काही काही पेशंट असे असतात खूप रिलिजियस आहे, त्यांना कापूर वगैरे जाळायचं असतंच. मग अशांना कसं काय, हे पण ऑब्स्टॅकल टू क्लिअर आहे, मग यांना कसं काय मॅनेज करायचं?
नाही, मला नाही कळालं, परत परत एकदा सांगता का?
हा सर, काही पेशंट खूप रिलिजियस असतात, म्हणजे रोज पूजा केली की कापूर जाळतात असते.
हम्म.
हॅलो, ऐकायला येतं सर?
हो हो.
आणि मग त्यांना जर म्हंटल की बंद करा, तर ते तेवढं काही म्हणजे ते हो म्हणतात, पण त्यांच्या हो म्हणण्यामध्ये तेवढं हे नसते की ते फॉलो करेलच.
नाही, ते
आणि अजून काही असं.
अशा लोकांना सगळ्यात महत्वाची गोष्ट की तुम्हाला ते समजून सांगावं लागतं की तुम्ही हे वापरलं तर होमिओपॅथिक औषधांचा परिणाम होणार नाही. You have to tell them कि homeopathic medicine will not going to work if you will use the camphor in your daily puja. If you explain them confidently, they will definitely listen to you. You should be dictatorial at that time, because
ओके
unless and until
ओके.
you dictate they will not going to change.
आणि सर, परफ्यूम डिओड्रंट्स वगैरे यूज करतात याच्या बाबतीत,
Same
ते पण
thing.
ऑब्स्टॅकल टू
Oh, same thing. I used to tell them directly. This you have to stop by any means. Otherwise, it will create problem not only for this, but it will create more turmoil in your body. Okay.
ओके सर.
Yes.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, in seventh reaction, full-time amelioration of symptoms, but patient not feeling well special way. That means I am thinking that symptoms are relieved, but in general, that means sleep, appetite, these are not improved. That
No,
means
no. That is not the thing in this case. Basically, the problem is that the patient's pathology is so advanced, and which has covered partially, which has covered and partially it has not covered. Your medicine is working. Your medicine has not doesn't have a capacity to cure that patient, because that pathology is not revertible pathology. It is not a reversible pathology. Now whatever is damage has been done already, it has been done. So it is not in your hand, and that's why patient cannot come to the original health. And this is what is called as a full-time amelioration of the symptoms at no special relief to the patient, because patient feels that I'm still not able to take a full breath, because his lungs are already fibrous.
okay, sir.
That general
Thank you.
improvement, it is not related with the generals. It is related with that his pathology.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll meet at 8:15. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.